All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about the Brittney Griner situation, a situation that I really don't want to talk about, to be quite honest with you. But I'm going to talk about it because I've heard two very stupid takes about the Brittney Griner situation that I want to talk about. Now, I have to update you guys on that situation, as we all know why she is locked up in Russia, okay? And she has pled guilty, right? Now, she claims that it was a mistake, okay? Her crime was a mistake, that she didn't know that she had what she had in her luggage, and that, hey, I had a prescription for it, and therefore, I was just rushing to pack up my suitcase, and I, committed this crime, not knowing I committed the crime, okay? Basically trying to, again, not take responsibility for something that I think that she definitely did on purpose. As I've never packed a suitcase, especially to go to a foreign country. I mean, guys, have you ever packed a suitcase, go to a foreign country, and not thoroughly looked over what you have in your suitcase to make sure that you got everything and that you're bringing everything that you want to bring? Like, come on now. Come on. So with that being said, because the woke revolutionaries are pressuring Biden to get Brittney Griner out of Russia, it looks like the Biden administration is capitulating to those demands, and we are offering a prisoner swap in order to get Brittney Griner and former American Marine Paul Whelan out of Russia. And I want you guys to watch this news clip that's going to give us more information about who we're offering in exchange for Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan. Take a look.
The United States has made a substantial offer to Russia to release the detained basketball star Brittney Griner and retired Marine Paul Whelan. That from the Secretary of State Tony Blinken today. And we're now learning who the U.S. is offering to hand over to Moscow for the prisoner swap. This man, the merchant of death, they call him, Victor Bout. That's what two sources are telling NBC News. He's a notorious Russian arms trafficker who conspired to kill U.S. soldiers and citizens when he tried to sell millions of dollars in weapons to a terror group in Colombia. The WNBA star and Olympic gold medalist testifying in her own defense in a Russian court today. Griner is facing 10 years in Russian prisons. Secretary Blinken says he plans to speak to Russia's foreign minister about the proposed prisoner swap in the coming days. If it happens, it'll be the first time that the two have spoken, we're told, since Russia launched its brutal invasion of Ukraine.
We put a substantial proposal on the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal. And I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward a resolution.
The decision to trade the infamous Russian arms dealer made after months of discussions between President Biden and his national security team, and it came over objections from the Justice Department, according to people familiar with all of these talks. Let's turn to William Pomerantz now, an expert on Russia's judicial system and is the acting director of the Wilson Center's Kennan Institute. William, thanks. Is this a deal the Russians might take and one the U.S. should offer?
Well, the Russians may take it. And since President Biden has gone out on a limb saying that he wants to get Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan home, this is the best possibility of doing that. Whether the Russians want to bite, whether they want to delay, whether they're going to take their time answering Secretary of State Blinken, that will be another matter.
The argument, of course, that a prisoner swap would encourage Russia to keep detaining Americans, but they do that anyway. So what's the argument for not doing this?
That is the argument, that obviously there are plenty of other potential targets that Russia could detain if they feel that they can get deals because they detain Americans trying to enter Russia, then they might just try to do it again. So that is really the obstacle and the problem with doing this deal. It only encourages Russia, theoretically, to do this again.
Might the Russians move on this offer before Griner's trial is even up?
No, I believe that the trial will have to end and Griner will be convicted. And once they have a conviction, then, quite frankly, the negotiations will begin.
A Marine and a basketball star for a guy who threatened to and tried to kill Americans. I mean, it kind of shows you the position we're in.
Exactly. We're not in a very strong position. And I should add that Secretary of State Blinken, when he was in the meeting of the G20 did not even talk to Lavrov. He wouldn't even take his picture with Lavrov. So obviously, this is a very big step for the United States just to try to make some sort of engagement with official Russia.
William Pomerantz, thanks very much.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand how insane this is. We are literally putting Americans' lives in danger for Brittney Griner, a WNBA star whom on her own went to Russia to play basketball and admitted guilt to committing a crime, okay? The crime they're accusing her of, she admitted guilt to it. And we're offering a Russian arms dealer who conspired to kill Americans for her. And also, let's not forget, the Marine is in that deal too. But let's be honest, guys. Would we be offering this deal if it wasn't for Brittney Griner? If it wasn't for Brittney Griner, we wouldn't give a damn about the Marine being locked up in Russia. Nobody would care. Because the media doesn't care about Marines and other Americans that are locked up over there wrongfully. All they care about is Brittney Griner, who is not locked up over there wrongfully. She's not wrongfully detained, okay? She's not wrongfully detained. She's detained because she committed a crime. She committed a crime. So not only are we incentivizing foreign countries to kidnap Americans and to illegally detain them, we're also putting American lives in danger by releasing people who have conspired to kill Americans. What do you think that guy's going to do once he get out? You think Russia's going to lock him up? No, they're going to let him loose again. That's what's going to happen. And meanwhile, we got silly people over here in the United States blaming America for Brittney Griner being locked up in the first place, claiming that, well, she only went to Russia because she wasn't getting paid enough money in the WNBA.
Nayyera, what's your opinion, having worked for the State Department previously, what's your opinion on how the State Department has handled all of this?
There have been political hostages, there have been U.S. hostages in a variety of circumstances, whether it's Syria or Afghanistan, and now we see in Russia. What we have seen, though, is that many of those individuals were working in the country, potentially with previous military or security connections. Brittney Griner is a little different because she was a celebrity in Russia as well, very high profile. And we know the only reason that she was in Russia is because she was not able to make equal pay here in the United States that NBA stars would make. So that points to the disparity in American life in a way that we typically don't see when it comes to wartime hostages.
Yeah, which was terrifying. You know, there is a potential case where we see the U.S. government negotiating with Russia in this capacity. Does this put Americans at risk around the globe? Does this signal to other hostile nations that all I have to do is drum up some charges against an American, and then the U.S. will have to negotiate with me for things that I want? How does this impact us all as we travel? Nayyera, what are your thoughts?
It's concerning, right? There are reasons why the State Department puts out notices of do not travel to these places, right?
Yeah.
And don't travel to Russia. Don't think that you're going to go into Afghanistan and change the world. You are going to be at risk if you are an individual American. Now, with that said, other countries are now issuing warnings about coming to the United States because of our gun control problem. So we have to recognize that we here also have our challenges that make other countries wary about spending tourist dollars here.
Yeah.
How do you say you hate America without saying that you actually hate America? Because it's not like we're illegally detaining people from other countries simply to use them as political negotiating tools. That's not what's happening here, okay? Those travel warnings that have been issued for the United States, they're very few and far between, okay? And they're not really even warnings as much as they're just like memos saying that, hey, you know, in America, they got guns, right? Again, you know, these people really kill me how they try to deflect personal responsibility and accountability from certain groups of people, okay? You're blaming America. It's America's fault that Brittney Griner got locked up because in America, she wasn't making enough money playing women's basketball, right? Now, I believe that Brittney Griner was making a salary about 200-some thousand, okay? And in Russia, I think she probably made over $1 million playing basketball in Russia. Now, again, whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that she wasn't making a lot of money in the WNBA? Is it the American government's fault? Or is it the women/feminist fault that claim they support the WNBA? People like this woman. I think it's her fault right? It's your fault because you guys don't show up to the WNBA games to watch. You guys don't watch it on TV. You don't pay for the merchandise. You don't do any of that stuff. But yet you want to blame America. It's the American government's fault. It's society's fault that Brittney Griner got locked up because there's a gender wage gap. She's not getting paid what she's supposed to be paid. She should be getting paid $45 million a year like Steph Curry. But yet the WNBA doesn't bring in NBA revenue. They don't. So how can she get paid something when the WNBA is not making that much money? Why is the WNBA not making that much money? Again, because feminists and wokes like her don't watch the games. They're uninterested in seeing women play basketball just like the rest of the country is, right? But no, this is just another excuse to try to make it seem like Brittney Griner is wrongfully detained. She shouldn't take any personal responsibility when she admitted guilt. She admitted that she did it. She admitted it. So why keep making the excuses? Well, she had to go to Russia because no. The State Department at the time in which she traveled to Russia was telling Americans, yo, don't travel to Russia. They're about to invade Ukraine. Get out of Russia. She went anyways. Now, again, I don't know what she's doing her $200,000 a year, but she been playing in Russia, making money over there. I think that she could have sat that one out. She could have said, you know what? Maybe this time I shouldn't go because of what's happening. Maybe she should have decided to sit this one out. Not this year. I'm not going to play this year. Not while this is going on. Again, this is the same person. This lady just said that, yeah, we issue warnings to go to, you know, not to go to countries like Russia. But she doesn't mention the fact that Brittney Griner ignored that warning. Again, completely resolving her of all personal responsibility. That's not the only stupid take I want to talk about. I want to talk about this other one real quick that I actually heard in the barbershop. I was in the barbershop yesterday, or maybe it was a couple days ago, getting my hair cut. And this woman barber, who doesn't cut my hair, right? Thank God, okay? We were talking about the Brittney Griner situation, and she makes the stupidest comment I've ever heard in my life. Well, Brittney Griner had a prescription. And if you got a prescription, anywhere you go in the world, that prescription supersedes the law of the country. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I wanted to get out of my seat, bruh. I want to get out of my seat. And I ain't going to say what I wanted to do, but that was one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. It just shows you how uneducated some people are in this country. And just so happened, this woman, you know, she was similar to Brittney Griner in the sense that I believe that she probably wasn't straight. Okay, so she probably was a huge Brittney Griner supporter. Probably didn't watch the WNBA, but supports Brittney Griner nonetheless for various reasons. But how stupid do you got to be to say something like that, that you think that an American prescription supersedes the law of a foreign country? Which just goes to show you that so many people that are in support of Brittney Griner and want her out of jail, they don't know what they're talking about. And they actually are the reason why Russia has so much leverage. They're the reason why we have to exchange a guy who tried to kill Americans, who conspired to kill Americans, for a basketball star who committed a crime. Admittedly committed a crime. We're putting other Americans' lives in danger because these woke revolutionaries don't want Brittney Griner to accept responsibility for a crime that she committed. It's terrible, man. And then these same people will turn around and talk about how certain people in this country don't have rights and privileges, and how the only people in this country that have privilege are whites and all that, when, again, we're bending over backwards to get a black gay women's basketball player out of Russia for a crime that she admitted guilt to. Again, it blows my mind, man. It really does. It really does. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.